like what is a proposition. So just go through the definition. A proposition is a declarative sentence which is either true or false but not both. So whenever you have a sentence and you can assign it a truth value either as true or as false, or we can say if it is true we can denote it as 1. If it is false we can denote it as capital F, or we can denote it as 0, right? So whenever you have a sentence for which you can assign a truth value to it, we call it a proposition. That is the definition of a proposition. Certain examples are given. You can go through them. For example, the first example, New Delhi is the capital of India. To this declarative sentence, you can assign a truth value 1. This sentence is true. So once you can assign a truth value to it, we can call this sentence as a proposition. Like for example, the next sentence, moon is made of cheese. So that is false. You can assign a truth value false to it. Whenever you're able to assign a truth value to it, you call it a proposition. Third sentence, 1 plus 1 equals to 2 is true. So again, it is a proposition. 2 plus 2 equals to 7 is false. Again, you are able to assign a truth value to it. So again, it is a proposition. Sentences which are not propositions, for example, when you're asking a question, what time is it? So it is not a proposition. You cannot assign a value true to it. You cannot assign a value false to it. Read this carefully. If you are telling someone, so again you cannot assign any truth value to it. It is again not a proposition. X plus 1 equals to 2. Sentences in which variables are involved. Unless and until you do not know the value of X, you cannot assign a value of either true or false to it. Right? So these are again not propositions. So what is a proposition? Is this thing clear to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So the next thing is whenever we have a proposition, for example, the like the first sentence, New Delhi is the capital of India. So we can assign variables to a proposition. So whenever propositional variables are always denoted in small p, small q, r, small s. This way we can assign a variable to one particular proposition. So we can say p is a proposition which says New Delhi is the capital of India. So you're assigning a variable to a complete propositional sentence. So we can do so. We call it a propositional variable, right? And we can also derive new propositions from older ones. So once you have one proposition, using that you can derive new propositions, which will again be either true or false, right? So this we call it the calculus of propositions, that is deriving new propositions from old ones. So relate, and we can also relate the new propositions to the previous ones using truth tables, right? So now we are going to study the various propositional operators, that is the unary operator and the binary operator. So unary operator, one which we are going to study is the negation. Binary operator, these conjunction and disjunction, these are your simple binary operators. This exclusive or implication biconditional, these are all derived. So exclusive or implication biconditional, these can be derived using negation, conjunction and disjunction. So using these three, you can derive the exclusive or binary operator, you can derive the implication binary operator, you can derive the biconditional binary operator, which I'll explain in detail when those particular slides come up. So you need to know is we'll be covering one unary operator, which is negation. We'll be covering 5 binary operators, which are conjunction, disjunction, exclusive or, implication, biconditional. Out of these 5, 3 of them are derived, 2 of them are simple operators. So conjunction and disjunction are simple operators. Exclusive or, implication and biconditional, these are derived operators, derived binary operators, right? Yes, can I go to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so from next slide onwards, just sit with your pen and paper. So after once we go through all these operators, I might give you some question to solve, right? First logical operator which we are going to study is negation. So by the name it says not. So once you have a proposition, you do the negation of it. So that will be your new derived proposition. So the symbol is written, how it is denoted. Just note down the symbol. Now an example is given. P is a proposition which says today is Friday. So the negation of P will say We can write it in many ways. The first way it is written, it is not the case that today is Friday, or we can also write it as today is not Friday, or it is not Friday today. Anyway, we can derive a new proposition from the proposition P using the negation operator. So this we call the negation of P. So P is a propositional variable which denotes the proposition today is Friday. And today is Friday, as you can see, if you are asking as of today, so today is Friday, it is false. You can assign a truth value to it. That is why it comes, we can call it a proposition, and we can do its negation as well. So once we do its negation, today is not Friday, now it becomes true. So when a proposition is false, its negation will be true. If a proposition is true, its negation will become false. That is the truth table for it, as you can see in table 1. So when P is 0, negation of P will become 1. Whenever P is 1, negation of P will become 0. Since P is a proposition which either has a value 0 or 1. So when you negate it, the value will be negated, right? Yes, any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
Okay, likewise we have likewise we have binary operator. First binary operator is your conjunction. So the symbol is also given. The symbol is similar to the intersection symbol, right? You can learn it this way. So conjunction, the symbol is given. You should know the symbol for every every operator. Either be a unary operator or a binary operator. You should know all the symbols. For negation, the symbol I told you. Right, you can note down the symbol for negation. Now the symbol for conjunction is also given. You should know this symbol. Right, now if we have two propositions, P says today is Friday, so it has a truth value 0. Q says it is raining today, again it has a truth value 0. Now what is P and Q? We can also call it P conjunction Q or P and Q. So P and Q will be, you combine both of these propositions together using the and keyword. Today is Friday and it is raining today. So this will be P and Q. Now go through the truth table. So PQ values are given. So values you can write it in ascending order. So they can take on values 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, right? You follow this order always, right? 0, 0 first, 0, 1, 2, 3 this way. So P and Q can take on these 4 possible values. The 4 rows are given. Now when P is 0, Q is 0, P and Q, what will P and Q be? P and Q will be 0. So for P and Q to be 1, both P and Q must be true, right? Only then P and Q will be 1. So in the last case, 4th row, you can see P is 1, Q is 1, P and Q is 1. Other cases, it is 0. So the truth table, you should know the operator, you should know its symbol plus the truth table for it. Yes, is the conjunction operator clear to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So similar to the conjunction operator, we have the disjunction operator. We call it the inclusive OR and we denote it by the union symbol. The symbol is similar to union, so it is a V, right? So inclusive OR says whenever you have two propositions, you can derive a new proposition out of them using the OR keyword. So today is Friday, it is raining today. P or Q will be, P disjunction Q will become today is Friday or it is raining today. So either today is Friday. So today is Friday or it is raining today. So one must be true. Both of them can be true or at least one of them must be true. So that is what the inclusive operator is. So one should be included. Either of P or Q should be included or both of them can be included. So it will be 1 when either P is 1 or Q is 1 or both of them are 1. It will be false only in the case when P and Q both are false, as you can see from the truth table. So whenever P and again the truth table is written in the increasing order, ascending order 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. These are the 4 possible combinations we can have. So the first case says both P and Q propositions, these both propositions are false. So whenever you derive a new proposition out of them using the disjunction, the new proposition will again be false. So it will be true in all the rest 3 cases, but it will be false when both P and Q are false. So this truth table, all of you should know. So when P or Q is 1, so it is 1 when either P is 1 or Q is 1 or both of them are 1. It is false only in the case when both of them are false, right? Yes, disjunction is clear to all. The symbol,
Yes,
operator, the truth
Yes, ma'am.
table. Right.
Yes,
ma'am,
ma'am.
can you explain the note, the inclusive nature?
Okay. So the inclusive nature is one of them should be included. Inclusive says either inclusion should be there, either of P or Q or both of them. So that is why we call it the inclusive. So even one of them is included, so then it will be one. One is the exclusive or, one is the inclusive or. Inclusive or says either of P or Q should be one or both of them can be one. Inclusion should be there of someone, either P, either Q or both. Exclusive says that one should be one, other should be zero. Exclusive means either one of them, not, but not both, right? So when one of them or both are present, we call it the inclusive or. But when we say either P or Q but not both, we call it the exclusive or. So we'll study the exclusive or as well, right? So inclusive or says P or Q or both. So that is the meaning of the term inclusive. P or Q or both, right? Yes, now any query?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
मैम ये इंक्लूसिव और बता दीजिए बस प्लीज.
Any doubt? Shall I move to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure, ma'am.
Yes, inclusive or, is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let us move to the exclusive or. So the next operator, we also call it XOR or we call it exclusive or. So by exclusive or, we mean P or Q, but not both, right? So the symbol is given, how it is denoted. I'll tell you the meaning through the truth table. So from the truth table, if you see, P exclusive or Q is 1 only when either P is 1 or Q is 1, but it is not 1 in the case when both of them are 1. While inclusive or was 1 in the case when P and Q both of them were 1. So exclusive or says either P or Q but not both. Inclusive or says either P or Q or both. So that is the difference between disjunction and XOR, right? So inclusive or we also call it disjunction. So in that case, the last row PQ both 1, P or Q was 1. Exclusive or we also call it XOR. So in this case, the last row when P and Q are 1, P XOR Q is 0. This is the difference between both of them. So this difference should be clear to all. So you can read the note P or Q but not both. So today is Friday or it is raining today but not both. Either of one conditions is true but both of the conditions are not true. So this is the meaning of exclusive or. So you should know every operator's truth table. So by the name, you can remember the values for the truth table. Exclusive or says P or Q but not both. This way you'll be able to write down the truth table. You don't need to learn it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is I told you these are derived operators, starting from exclusive or onwards, right? So I'll tell you how later on. So just remember this thing, exclusive or is a derived operator. We can derive it using the three operators which we have already studied: negation, conjunction, disjunction, right? So we can write it as P dash Q plus PQ dash. I'll explain you further, right? For now on, just remember that it is a derived operator. Next derived operator is your implication operator. Implication operator says it can be read in the form of if then, and it is denoted by the symbol is also given, the arrow sign. So P implication Q. So it says if P is true, then Q will also be true. So P implication Q will be 1 in the case whenever whenever P is 1, Q is also 1, then P implication Q will be 1. So it says if P is true, Q must also be true. Now if you look at the truth table, the values are again in increasing order 0, 1, 2, 3. Look at the last row. So 1, 1. So whenever P is 1, Q must be 1. So if this is true, in the last case, it is true that P is 1, Q is also 1, then P implication Q is 1. If you look at the third row, P is 1. If P, then Q is false. Q is 0. So P implication Q will be false. So in order for P implication Q to be true, whenever P is 1, Q must be 1. So that is how we are getting the last two values as 0, 1. Now what about the first two cases whenever P is 0? So the rule says if P is true, then Q must be true, but it doesn't say anything when P is false. So whenever P is false, the rule doesn't say anything. You can write P implication Q as 1. So you need to check only for the cases whenever P is 1, Q must be 1. Other cases it will be 0. If P is 1, Q is 0, it will be 0. Rest when P is 0, P implication Q will be 1, because we are not saying anything when P is false. We are only talking of the case whenever P is 1. This way you can draw the truth table for P implication Q. So P is a proposition, example is given which says I am elected. Q is a proposition which says I will lower taxes. So P implication Q says if I am elected, then I will lower taxes. So if this person is elected, then he must lower the taxes. For P implication Q to be true, whatever oath he had taken, for it to be true, whenever P is 1, Q has to be 1. If this person is not elected, you cannot say anything about the taxes. So you can write P implication Q as 1. So we are only talking of the case whenever P is 1, Q must be 1. So that is how we write the truth table for P implication Q, right? So as I told you, P implication Q is a derived operator. So this truth table, either you can learn it this way, but I have told you, if P is 1, then Q must be 1. Or it is a derived operator. It can be derived of, it has the same truth value as negation P or Q. Just read the last line. So it has the same truth value as negation P or Q. So if you find out the value of negation P or Q, then you will find out, you will get the same row as P implication Q. Just do it once. Find out what is the value, truth values for negation P or Q.
Ma'am. Same.
Same, you're getting same values. So it says both of them have the same truth value. Either you can, by the rule, you can write down the truth table, or you can derive it using negation P or Q, right? Yes, everyone is able to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, if we know that if only P is true, then only Q is true, and now we don't consider other cases. Ma'am, why are we taking 0, 0? Why are we considering these two cases in truth table, first two cases?
So truth value we need to write for all the four cases possible. So what all values P and Q those propositions can have, we need to consider all those four cases. So when P is 0, we do not know any, the rule does not say anything for Q. So that is why for the first two cases, we directly write P implication Q as 1. So this is similar to the don't care operator in digital circuit design. So therein what we do, if nothing is given for this case, you write P implication Q as 1. So the rule only says whenever Q is 1, Q must be 1. It does not say anything whenever Q is P is false. So you can directly write it as 1. So we need to consider write the truth table for all the four cases possible.
Like ma'am, in first two cases, we are taking 1. We don't know, but we are taking 1. It can be 0 also.
No, it says if P then Q, right? If P is true, then Q must be true. If P is 0, it is not saying anything. Then you can keep it as 1. So P implication Q will be 1. It says P implies Q. P should imply Q. If P is not there, definitely it implies Q, right? So P should always imply Q. This is the meaning of P implication Q.
मैम मैम ये जो सेकंड वाला जो है मैम 0 और 1 मैम इसको मतलब P और Q में कैसे करके देखेंगे मतलब if I
so in this case you only need to check the truth value of P. So I told you whenever P is 0, you write the value of P implication Q as 1. So you don't need to look for the value of Q. Just look at the value of P. Wherever P is 0, you write P implication Q as 1. Wherever P is 1, you check whether Q is also 1. If Q is also 1, you write P implication Q as 1. Otherwise, you write it as 0.
नहीं मैम अगर सेंटेंस के हिसाब से देखें तब पूछ रहे हैं तो मैम
So sentence you cannot if P is for example P is 0 and Q is 1, right? You are talking of the sentence P is 0. Person is not elected, but the taxes are lowered. So if he has not made any promise, so P implication Q will be 1. So the P implication Q, this thing was never made. This rule was never made, so this will be 1.
Or what about this, ma'am, if he is elected and he will not lower the taxes?
So in that case, P implication Q is 0. So the rule is not valid. So in that case, P implication Q will be 0. Right?
Yes.
So whenever P is 0, P implication Q is 1. Whenever P is 1, for P implication Q to be 1, Q has to be 1. So this is the rule. Right? Okay, so the next thing, so if P, like I was saying, we read it in the form if P then Q, P implication Q, we can read it in some other forms which are also given. So you need to know all of them. So the in question exam, the question can be given like P is a sufficient condition for Q. You need to write it in operator form. Then it will be written in the form of P implication Q. Some of you might write it as Q implies P. So you should know all of these forms. First is if P then Q, so it can be written as P implication Q. P implies Q can also be written as P implication Q if P Q. P only if Q can also be written as P implication Q. These are certain other forms in which we can read it. We can read P implication Q. P is a sufficient condition for Q. Q if P, Q whenever P. Q is a necessary condition for P. So you need to learn all these forms. All of these mean P implication Q. Right? 8 forms are given, so you should know all 8 forms. So the terminology is P can also be termed as the premise, P can also be termed as the hypothesis or the antecedent, Q we call it the conclusion or the consequence. Right? So these 8 forms you all should know. So again, implication is a derived operator. You can write it as negation P or Q. If you find out its truth value, it will be same as a truth value for P implication Q. So if you do not remember these truth values, you can do negation P or Q. Then you'll get these truth values for these P implication Q column, right? So either you remember the meaning for P implication Q or you do it negation P or Q. Both ways that will be fine. So some cases, some compound statement will be given to you, compound proposition will be given to you. You need to simplify it. In that case, you'll have to
Ma'am, your voice is not audible now, suddenly.
Yes, ma'am, you are not audible.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, so I had an So if that is fine, we can move with the next slide. So the next, so you should know these 8 forms. If P then Q, I'm repeating, P implies Q. If P Q, P only if Q, P is a sufficient condition for Q. Q if P, Q whenever P, Q is a necessary condition for P, right? So next thing is certain terms related to P implication Q. So once we have this proposition of the form, compound proposition of the form P implication Q, you might be told to find the converse of this implication. So how do we find the converse of P implication Q? So converse of P implication Q says Q implication P. So whenever you're told the converse, so whatever P implication Q is given, so you'll write it in this form Q implication P. So Q implication P is the converse of P implication Q. Likewise, what is contrapositive? So once P implication Q is given, so first you converse it, then you also negate it. Negation Q, implication negation P is the contrapositive of P implication Q. Likewise, we have a third term inverse. So in that you directly apply the negation without doing the converse. So negation P, negation implies negation Q will be the inverse of P implication Q. So you should know all these 3 terms, what is converse, what is contrapositive, what is inverse. So these three terms might be asked to you. So Q implication P is the converse of P implication Q. Negation Q implies negation P is the contrapositive. Negation P implies negation Q is the inverse. So these three terms should be clear. So you might be given certain sentence form.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, we can say that the converse of the inverse is contrapositive.
Converse of the inverse. Yes, you can say so. So if you do the converse of inverse, it will be contrapositive, right? If you negate the converse, again it will be contrapositive. So you might be given a statement. Example 8 is given. R is a compound proposition which says raining tomorrow is a sufficient condition for my not going to town. So raining is a sufficient condition for my not going to town. Now first identify what is P, what is Q from this statement. What is P?
Raining
tomorrow is sufficient condition for mine.
So I told you this P implication Q can be written in the form P is a sufficient condition for Q. Same form is given. Raining tomorrow is a sufficient condition for my not going to town. So P says it is raining tomorrow. Q says I am not going to, right? So first identify what is P, what is Q. So we should write it in small. Here it is written in capitals. Just make this propositional variables. You also always write it in small. So P says it will rain tomorrow. Q says I will not go to town. Now you need to find, what do we need to find? We need to find the converse, contrapositive and inverse, right? So P and Q we have identified. So this is of the form P implication Q. Now in order to find the converse, converse will be Q implication P. So what is Q? Find out. I will not go to town. So Q implication P means if Q then P. So if I don't go to town, then it will rain tomorrow. This way we can convert the symbol back to words. So for whenever a compound proposition is given in word form, so first you write it symbolically, identify what is P, identify what is Q. You find out the converse in symbolic form, then you write it in sentence form. Don't write directly in sentence form. So whenever such a question comes, you need to first write down the symbols, do the converse, inverse, contrapositive based on the symbols, then convert them back to sentence form, right? So first we have converted it in the form if Q then P, then Q is a sufficient condition for P. We can also write it this way, or we can also write it as Q is a necessary condition for P. So herein it will be inverse. P is a necessary condition for Q. Any form we can write it back to words. All three will be correct. So based on all these 8 things, you can write it in any way, any of the 8 ways, right? You need to know what is P, what is Q. Any doubt? Yes, any doubt in this conversion?
Ma'am,
No, ma'am.
can you show that slide that implies? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So you can note it down, or I'll share these slides with you as well.
Share this one.
Yeah, I'll share it. Just wait.
Ma'am, you will be uploading this on LMS now?
LMS, by today evening, I'll be uploading this on LMS now.
Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, actually, I was in group 1 previously, so I have not received the Cadley code.
A Cadley code I've shared in chat box. You can note it down, or I'll again copy it for you. Just
yes, ma'am.
So I'm again writing it. You can go through it from the chat box.
Okay.
These slides are also taking some time, so it will be uploaded soon in the chat box. You can go through it. Okay, so if you have noted it down, So we are done with the binary operators. We are done with the unary operators. We are done with converse, inverse, contrapositive. So just one question I'll give you now. If everything is clear to you, just go through this example 10. Try to write down the values for this compound proposition. So herein you need to construct truth table of the compound proposition P or negation Q, implication P and Q, right? I'm calling it or conjunction and disjunction. I'm calling it as or and, right? So whenever you are given a compound proposition, so first you write down what is P, what is Q, then you see you need a unary operator negation Q. You find out the value of negation Q. Then you can write down the compound values. So the first bracket is P or negation Q. The next bracket is P and Q. Then you can go with the implication. So first you find out the values for left hand side, right hand side, and then you can solve the implication. You know when the implication is true. So implication is true whenever the left hand side is false, it is true. And it is also true whenever both the left hand side and right hand side are true, right? This way. Just try to solve this example 10, everyone. So once you solve it, then I'll share the slides with you.
Ma'am, is there any quiz on Academy today?
मैम QE आ रहा है.
We will just have a test poll. So it is not mandatory. For today, I'll not count it. So those who are able to join, they can attempt it for today. Otherwise, there is no issue, right? Just solve this question, then we'll switch to Academy.
Ma'am 0101.
Yes, so the final answer should be 0101. So,
Yes, ma'am.
PQ, first you write down these values in ascending order 0001, 1011. Then you write down the value of negation Q. So whatever Q is, you negate it. P or negation Q. So first column, third column. You do the or for both of them. So 01 is 1, 00 is 0. So whenever 1 is 1 or both of them are 1, P or negation Q will be 1. This way we'll write down the value for P or negation Q. Likewise P and Q. So P and Q is 1 only when P and Q both.
How did we do P or negation Q?
P or negation Q. So you look at the first column, you look at the third column. First column is P, third is negation Q. Now you need to do an or of them. Or means inclusive or. Inclusive or says P or Q or both. So whenever P or one of them is true, P or negation Q will be true. So in the first case, 1 is 0, 1 is 1. So P or negation Q will be 1 since 1 is 1. In the second case, P is 0, negation Q is also 0. Both of them are 0, so or will be 0. Third case, both of them are 1, so or will be 1. Fourth case, P is 1. At least 1 is 1, so or again will be 1. So or says either of these two or both of them. So that is the meaning of this inclusive or. So likewise and is 1. So P and Q, the first two columns. And is 1 only when both of them are true. So in the last case only, last row, if you see 1, 1, we have P and Q as 1. Other cases it is 0 because in all the other cases, both of them are not 1. Now last, the implication. So for implication, we need to see whenever the left hand side is 1. So left hand side means the fourth column. Whenever fourth column is 1, fifth column must be 1. So in the first case, it is not so. That is why implication is 0. In the second case, so whenever left hand side is 0, you can directly say the implication is 1. That is why for second row, we are having 1. Third case, left hand side is 1, but right hand side is 0. That is why 0 on the implication. Fourth case, whenever left hand side is 1, right hand side is also 1. That is why 1. So that is how we do the implication. Implication says whenever left hand side is 0, the implication will be 1. Whenever left hand side is 1, for the implication to be 1, right hand side must also be 1. Yes, any doubt with this example?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so let us conclude for today. So precedence of logical operators I'll discuss in the next lecture. Now those who are able to log into Acadly, so I'm publishing today's test poll. So it is just a test poll, not necessary for every one of you to attend. Just to make sure everything is working fine, I'm giving this. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
You just
Ma'am, for
wait for the
binary,
poll, then you can leave, right? Wait for some time.
excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, for binary, we have only 4 types.
Binary, you have